Hello friends, this is Joseph and Train from HoS Sound. The idea of HoS Sound is very simple. We want to help artists, promoters and other people in the scene to share their message, their experiences, their learnings and life lessons. And as a byproduct, we hope that some of these insights will help and inspire others. And that's exactly why we're gonna have chats and ask questions to some of the most interesting people in the scene. We hope you will enjoy. In the next interview, we're going to interview Chaab Audio. He's a producer and promoter from Mumbai, India, who's been around for a while. He also lived in London for a short while, where he studied electronic music, and then moved back to Mumbai, where, together with Bish from Regenerate and a few of other mates, he co-founded and launched Far Out Left Festival in 2018. So Far Out is one of the biggest electronic music festivals that combines techno and other forms of electronic music. We've just been on the 2019 edition where Tapefeed played in the main stage, and it was a great experience. He's very active in the scene and he does a lot for the local ecosystem. We've been there and he literally knows everyone. We actually did an interview with him in Goa, India, where we spent together 6 days. You might not notice, but we had a lot of issues with recording, and the interview took a while for us to actually materialize because of problems with noise, wind, cars, and we eventually ended up doing the interview in a hotel room without AC. And you can imagine, like, with 38 degrees outside, it was quite of an experience. In this chat, we talk about pushing the scene, all the challenges that artists face, and in particular of the Indian scene. We also talk about how promoters tend to make booking decisions and how social media affects the life of artists. We also cover focusing on process and not outcome, and we do a reference to the territory versus hierarchy from the War of Art by Steven Pressfield. Chaab is a very fun person and also smart with a very solid perspective on the electronic music scene, and I'm sure if you are interested in these topics, you will find it enjoyable. Enjoy the chat with Chaab Audio. Chaab?
Hey.
Thanks for being on the show.
Oh, finally.
We're here.
Yeah, we've been through some trouble.
We're through some trouble. So we're here in a room in Goa without AC. It's sweating like crazy.
Don't even ask.
But we made it. We're starting now.
We're here, yeah. There's
Nice.
commitment to this.
Great. Nice. So I think you and I had a chat these days. We spent almost 10 days together. And you just organized a festival called Far Out Left. Do you want to tell us more about that? How did that came about?
So it's not me alone. It's actually we're a collective called Regenerate, founded by Pish. And then there's Kyle and me and a few more people a part of it. Far Out Left kind of came out of, I guess, it was the only thing to do next. And Pishma kind of found a good venue, and there was a lineup, and then we kind of figured out together how to make it happen.
Got it, yeah.
So and then we got partners, external partners, which is a big company called Social. Offline, they have bars and clubs, and they support the community. So they supported us as well. So it's a 50-50 between Regenerate and Social, which is a really interesting collaboration because being in a place like India and in a city having a festival, you need all forces to have one strong force, come together to have one strong force so you can do it against anyone else who doesn't want it to happen.
Yeah. How hard it is for a promoter to start and run a party in Mumbai?
It's not so easy. I mean, yes, it's easy if you have friends and you know people, and that's why we have more now, and if you have money. But if in the start it was not easy, because a lot of us were doing it out of passion and we could not take money out for this either. So you have to struggle as much as anywhere else, but at the same time, our struggles might be different because our struggles are more about convincing someone to do something new over the existing model.
So it's not just about like operationally and run the party, but you actually need to get the buy-in from people.
It's I guess it's a cultural difference. Like we've had an underground scene for very long, but it was small, and now it's bigger. And I guess economically, it doesn't work out for a lot of people who own these places, and they're not people from our community usually. So it's just a little bit of a struggle, a shove, push and shove, trying to figure out how you can manage and convince someone so you can keep doing it.
Yeah, yeah. And you've been in this scene for a long time. And how has it changed in the last 5 years?
I mean, yes, it's changed because it's commercialized, and the way people look at it is in a more corporate structure. But other than that, I mean, like when we got into it, it was more underground, I guess. It's still very underground, but it was more underground because the people who liked it were people who liked it for what it was, or like the communal aspect of it, not just the size of it, the fame of it. And I feel like now it's more about fame, and it's about how big you can get and do something with your life over like discovering and experimenting with that within a certain art form or subculture.
I think from the little I understand and I know about the Indian scene, it seems that it's becoming bigger and bigger in the last couple of years. And I've been to your Far Out Left festival last weekend, and it was great. I mean, I see virtually no difference in how people behave, what people listen to with London, which for me was a different from what I expected. But I see that this thing is becoming mainstream, it's attracting more people. People are really into electronic music. They're listening to music that is from India, from anywhere in the world. It's definitely booming. Do you think that is? You mentioned that like it's becoming a lot about the business. So you have big corporations or let's say brands that invest money in that. Do you see that that's like in a way is taking something out of the passion for DJs, artists, people are involved in the scene?
I don't think so, because I feel like sadly the way our scene has come about, we started really like honest and real, and then it became a little commercialized. But I guess it's different from the West and any other place because we did skip steps, but it was because we're a different region and we're fighting different battles. Now, yes, commercializing is the way you look at it. I mean, even big clubs in London think about their budgets and who sells tickets, and big clubs in Europe, in like a Berghain or anyone, they all book DJs that have big sales and everything. So I think everyone
100%.
thinks that way. And it depends on an economical structure, but only our economical structure visually looks different.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't say if it's going to do bad or good, but at the same time, I will say that what electronic music and the culture has always had as a subculture, as like a trait of it, is getting people together from all sorts of places and fields of work and races and everything, you know? Just in one room, connecting on the same thing and, you know, making connections and memories. And I see that happening, which is good enough, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I think whatever enables that eventually, like it helps the scene thrive. Yeah, it's a great thing. And um, one of the things that strikes with me, I mean, you play music, you organize this festival, you co-organize, you co-founded the festival. What is something that people don't know you for?
Tough. I guess people don't know me for also maybe being an artist, because like people see me as the producer and I mean the DJ and the promoter, but I guess my whole life, I mean every choice I've made and where I've reached today, I'm kind of gotten into it because I had to. I've always been someone who just wanted to make my own music and DJ and just be an artist.
Yeah.
So I guess less people see me as an artist and people see me more as someone who's making the scene thrive, or which I guess people don't know about me. And I've worked in different mediums of art, like video, performance arts, and I'm extremely dwelled into the craft of it more than the fame and the business of it.
Yeah. When did you start getting involved into the electronic music scene?
Oh God, I must have been 12 or 13, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about like electronic music, like what you heard for the first time, right? Like you had your prodigies and you had your underworld and you had some other random stuff you heard along the way, the house classics that you hear today, or New Order, Joy Division. It was all that kind of stuff that just connected dots when I heard more stuff, and then I heard some psytrance, and then back to like old New York house and disco, like Louis Vega and old Richie Hawtin. So like it's so jumbled up that eventually what I am now musically kind of came from a decision of the kind of sound and structure of the music or dance floor that I really enjoy.
Of course, yeah. We're chatting about that. Like a lot of the times, people get into a certain genre style because they experience something beautiful, and they get really into connected to that thing. Can be psytrance if you go to Goa and you happen to be in a very good psytrance party. Could be industrial techno if that's what you go to.
A good one, yeah.
Good one, exactly. And it's very different because sometimes, like, being outside of that scene as well, like, you don't understand how these people got into the genre that you might not like. But I think for me, what I've learned is that it comes down to experience. If you experience something that leaves like a positive, strong mark, you end up liking that stuff a lot. Because it kind of reminds you of that good time that you had when you with your friends 5 years ago in that amazing party. Maybe you found love, maybe you found connection, maybe you found amazing people to chat with. That was an experience that marked you, and that translates into what you like eventually. Yeah. And we're here in Goa, which is a massive psytrance, rave scene, people on the beach. There's also like a lot of like commercial stuff as well. You spent some time here, quite some time. Do you want to tell us something that you really like about Goa, something that maybe you would change about it?
I mean, what I loved about Goa, I mean, I came to Goa when it was all about, of course, psytrance. Musically, I was always confused because, I mean, I couldn't listen to psytrance all day. Like, if I sat on the beach, I maybe wanted to listen to some Joy Division, or maybe I wanted to listen to some other random stuff, you know, maybe some old ghostly stuff, I remember. And people only wanted to listen to psytrance, so musically, I was always like, I'm here with the culture, but I don't know if I'm completely sold on a genre. But then, of course, you find other people along the way who are around, who listen to other stuff, and you make connections and you learn, you discover other stuff. But what I always realized with Goa is there's a freedom in the culture and the history, and there's this really interesting tribalistic modern subculture. You know, it's a mix of like nature and the future, and you know, it's got all these inspirations to the way people dress, the way people act, the kind of parties they have, the kind of music or frequencies or tones they like within their experiences. And for me, Goa has this really deep undertone of the unknown and discovery, and stuff that's a little more in the gloom and not just bright, you know. But it's exciting and it's true, which is kind of attractive, I guess.
Yeah, it is indeed. We just been together this week to Cyrus, which is this beautiful place in the middle of the jungle, kind of in the middle of the jungle, built by Iggy.
Iggy, a friend.
Yeah, great guy.
A special.
Special place, which is
Really special place.
yeah, and it's built out of scrap material that he finds anywhere in Goa, and then he brings it to this place, and then he makes anything out of that, like huts that he makes. He made the restaurant, he made the bar out of that, he makes the dance floor out of that. It's a very special place, beautiful. A pool, they have a pool there. Very good. How do you connect that with the rest of the scene in Goa?
So Iggy's one of the oldest guys around. Like, I guess when we were all discovering, Iggy started DJing also, and like I guess like I know he and me both discovered the music deeper than our own discoveries through the same crew, which is Bhavishwani and Future Sounds, which is the oldest collective in India. And I know that he got into learning how to play records, and he started collecting, and he lived in Goa, and of course there was a lot of Goa Sai, which everyone was a part of Goa Sai because it was a scene. It was a party. It was a kind of party you went to that was in the woods. Everyone used to go. It was like a sign of rebellion, right? That's why people did it. So people wanted to experience it. But eventually, I guess he also got into different sounds and he built this beautiful place because he's from Goa, he's a local, and he had his own ideas of how to, and it's become this beautiful thing. And being in Goa, where house and techno, and there is a lot of house and techno, there's a lot of commercialized, which is like everywhere, like Ibiza, the Solomon, the Jamie Jones, the big names, the Adam Bears, they've all come here and played at big festivals, but that's not the same thing as what the Goa parties usually seem like.
Yeah. It seems more underground, like it's more...
Extremely, yeah.
Yeah. It's not advertised anywhere. There is party that happen, let's say, randomly. You need to know someone to get
Exactly.
told that there is a party, otherwise you don't find it.
You never know, yeah.
Exactly.
There's people who live here for years and don't know about it. Or haven't been, yeah.
It makes it special.
Yes, of course.
That's great. And then, what are you up to these days? Like, how do you... So now, I've met you here in India while you were organizing the festival, so everything was extremely hectic for you. How's Chaab's life? Normal life?
I mean, we're doing, Peach and me are doing a lot. Like, we're always, like, we're making parties, there's bookings, there's looking after the festival. Of course, we're most concerned about the detailing. So that's where it gets hectic, right? But really, it's really important to us that the LGBT community, women and other people and men, who are just coming to listen to music and have a good time, feel protected and have a safe space. You know, we really care about the sound quality, so it's not too loud, and it can make people, it can affect people's experience and also health. You know, we also want the party to be safe and people to be as conscious as possible, so there's a reduction of any sort of overdoses or people getting too drunk or hurting themselves. So there's a whole lot of things that we're always involved in, but then we also have a lot of artists that we want to cultivate and hope to give them more time behind CDJs, because they have the talent but they just don't have time and resources, or so they can get more gigs and buy gear, or like even some of them can buy a plugin or two, you know? So for us it's more about the ecosystem, and deep down Bhishmi are like super nerdy producers and DJs, like, but it's just, I guess, the time and place where we're just going intuitively to what we need to do as well, and it's resonating. Like post Far Out, the response is very humbling, because now we know that, okay, all this sacrifice we made instead of sitting in our studios and making music has taken the scene to another level, which is going to inspire people to do more stuff, which will just make the ecosystem larger and stronger.
Yeah. We touched on the challenges about running an event in India. And then from the artist side, and now you say we try to help cultivate artists, local artists. What are the struggles of someone who is born in India, who's living in India, and wants to make electronic music? What are the things that they struggle with?
So, I mean, I would guess first, of course, at home, right? You need your family to support it, because it's really hard to get a good job. Even if you want to do a part-time job, you're not going to get paid well enough to possibly... take this career on, because just to buy Ableton costs you £500, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like, it's expensive enough, you know? For you to buy a track, like, I know it's expensive for me, and I'm an old DJ, and I'm being honest, like, I have few gigs that I'm, like, down to my last £200 or something, and I'm still buying tracks, and I'm, like, thinking about, oh, shit, I hope I get my next check, you know?
Yeah.
So we all have our main struggles, but, like, the toughest is we don't have a minimum wage. There's too many DJs, there's a lot of friends, there's not enough clubs, there's a whole lot of things that we're still trying to figure out as a community. And I think we are making a bigger difference now, because also there's more people involved, there's more people making opinions on who they like to listen and what they don't want to listen.
Yeah.
And so promoters are getting more experienced and making choices, because they also want to be known for their expertise and not just, being a promoter for the sake of it.
Yeah, it makes sense. And we were discussing today also about how booking headliners, also international headliners, then it brings a new challenge, because the fee that some artists, the big artists, expect is higher and higher, which is completely like outside of the breadth of of Indian parties, because then it's very hard for the promoter to pay the amount of money to the international DJ, but you pay that because that attracts people. Then the local big artist asks a fee which is like very, very hard to pay. And then you have the smaller artists, which even they are left with even less. Because then you're paying the bill, you're paying the headliner first, and then who's left is the local artist, which is very hard to pay, but they also need money to actually survive. And you guys did did a great job because in Far Out Left you had a lot of local artists, both on Friday and Saturday. Do you think that that is helping them a lot, like to believe in themselves and keep running, and think that actually they can do it, they can make it?
Oh yeah. Because I mean, funny enough, it's come to a point. This wasn't there earlier, but it's come to a point now that a lot of the crowd are more interested in the local artists than even a big superstar.
Right.
And it happens, I guess, because a lot of people don't realize how deep we are in our underground scene. You can't just come and play a set and be safe. If you do that, you made the wrong choice.
Yeah.
You know, it's really tough, and I've seen really big DJs come and do that. So sometimes local DJs give the crowd in a really big hyped up night with a big DJ a better time. So people are kind of changing their view.
Right, yeah.
It's kind of happening itself. You know, I worried about this at some point, as like when I observed it. But now I can see change happening itself. There's nothing we need to do. Also, with like artists taking higher fee, I was really offended by it originally because luckily I had some great people along the way, like the Bunker New York, who came to us for like nothing just because they believed in the scene. But there were a lot of people who, of course, asked for a lot and were pushy, but it doesn't matter because now they all want to come to India.
Yeah.
What we've realized, even though sometimes we paid an artist and got more than we could afford, what I've come to realize is once they come and see the party, I know the next time they're just going to want to play anyway.
Yeah.
So it's kind of going to work in our favor eventually.
Yeah. And I think that comes back to like if you do something that is important for people, for the audience, you're building something for a genuine reason, people align with you a bit more. Because the money is, you can attract people by doing stuff that is driven by money. But eventually, if there's not something that it connects with them much deeper, like people will leave you at some point. They will leave the brand. They will never trust the brand again. And we talk about so how hard it is for local artists to get bookings. They have challenges, but they are in a way overcoming them. How do promoters in India make booking decisions, whether it's international artists or local?
I think now most people are making decisions depending on what they like. Yes, like I'm not saying like a big booking, like a really big booking, you know that's going to sell out, that you're paying all the money in the world for. But usually the people who are booking that are people who really like them. So in a way, it's positive. You know, before, yes, it was, oh, this guy's big. There's few promoters who still don't know the music, are not a big part of the community. And like, yes, they do parties, but they don't come dance with people or watch people or try to help the scene. It's more about their brand. There's people like that, but it doesn't matter. Eventually, even they are realizing that at this point, you need to book what you like and see.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it.
For sure. And what is a suggestion that you think would help an artist to get booked by Indian promoters?
I mean, first, I would say get in touch with them as much as possible. And also realize that it's really tough for us. So if you don't have a presence in India, just come and do it for the start. Come for the trip. It's a good trip. People in India, usually, I mean, the feedback we get from artists is you don't get promoters that host you as they host you in India, which is a good thing for us. So it's a good reason for you to come. You'll never be alone. You'll get to see a new country.
Yeah.
But don't expect it because now the scene is blowing up, you know, and you need to be in the same rat race as everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's very interesting because I think these things apply everywhere in the world. Like it's the same things, same strategies or techniques apply in a lot of places in Europe and US as well. And for Indian artists to play abroad, how hard it is, and what are ways that you saw working for them?
I mean, it is hard, of course, because a lot of people, promoters and like bookers would be like, oh, you're from India. I mean, how much do you know? But a lot of people get to play if they have friends or they have a trade-off.
Yeah.
I bring you, you bring me. Yeah, I guess it's not easy, right? Because even for me, if you message me and say, hey, I'm in Bombay on this date, can you get me a gig? I have to call every club and figure out if there's a possibility.
Yeah.
You know,
Of
so
course.
it's how you see it, I guess.
Yeah.
And I don't blame promoters because like they don't know how big the scene is. They must be having 25 DJs themselves asking to play on the same night. And
Well, 100%. And do you think so? Have you seen people who are doing a lot of releases getting more traction with the international promoters?
of course,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
surely.
Surely. Are the big labels in India that are respected, that are kind of driving the way electronic music can be techno or
In
beyond?
India?
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I'm not into many Indian labels. I'm into one, but that's not driving anything, sadly. It's extremely experimental.
Yeah.
But yeah, but my opinion on also labels is a lot of people can't afford it, you
Yeah.
know, so they're taking their time. And the my favorite one, he can afford it because he's got a big, really tough job, and they're just nerds that are sitting around with their gear and putting out stuff on Bandcamp, you know?
Yeah.
They don't even care about being booked.
Yeah.
But the rest is also they've had their journey being commercial, made that money, and then they built labels. But everyone's journey is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just not something that I've gotten into because it's not like the style that I like.
Got it. Yeah. And this makes me think about something you and I discussed as well a week ago, which is territory versus hierarchy. We're discussing, this is a concept that I got introduced to by a book called The War of Art. And basically the difference is hierarchy is when you think you do stuff because you want to be better than other people. That drives a lot of your energy, but eventually it's like a cup that is never full. You're never going to be happy. There's always going to be someone who's, in your perception, better than you, or you need to compete against. While on the other side you have territory, which is basically you do stuff because that's your territory. That's you would do that even if you were the last person in the world. How important, and I know we discussed a lot about this, like how important it is for you or for an artist, in your opinion, to be focused on their craft and their territory instead of being chasing competition.
I love this question. But yeah, for me, I guess personally, I've done this in my life many times. It happens with everything, you know? It's like, do you compete or do you let it be? And it's like a constant like fight with everything. So I mean, with what I've dealt with in my life personally, I don't like competition because I just find it like it's what's making the world wrong.
Yeah.
I like, what was the other option? So
Territory, yeah.
Territory is personal, right?
Territory, yes, exactly.
Hierarchy. That was hierarchy.
Yeah,
So-
that's hierarchy. Yeah.
So
competition.
so hierarchy is not fun because you're trying to be on top of someone.
Yeah.
Eventually, someone's going to try to be on top of you.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like you're constantly playing that.
Constantly, and you're not really developing. In a way, it's reactive, right? So you're not creating something, doing something because you want it. You do it because someone else is doing that, and you want to beat them up.
And it's not coexisting,
It's not exist. Yeah.
which is more fun for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, I would suggest, because I've been even in the business side, like, when I do the whole promotion side and someone's booking the artist or someone's trying to fight the artist I want or someone's trying to close down my party, I might have my opinions about their motivations, but at the same time, deep down, yes, there's a defense mechanism because we're human, and there's some survival instinct saying, don't step on my toes. I'll step on yours. That's human. You know, I guess. It's animalistic. But I would love to choose, let's let it go.
Yeah, for sure.
And I constantly hope for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even like personally as an artist, even when you do a set, if you're not happy with it, the only thing you have, the best option you have is to let it go. And just like go over it. Even if you make something or you're in a place in your career that you're questioning or in your life, the best option is to let it go. So it's always comes down to territory.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a hard shift to make because we're human. We tend to go. I think naturally we tend to go to the hierarchy thing, or like competing because we feel better that way. But
No, I think it's the schooling structure.
yeah.
No, but actually that's wrong. Even animals are like that. right?
Even on
Territorial, yeah.
yes. And I think you're also right. In the way we grew up, if you live in a, let's say, in a structure in a city, there's always a hierarchy. Like there is always the grades. There is always benchmarking you against other people in your class, in your circle. As a system, we tend to go in a hierarchy mode.
But I hate it. Sorry.
It's yeah. I think when you're creating something, I think eventually in the long run you will be much more satisfied and much be better with your creation if you go in a territorial way, which is also like now that I'm thinking more about it. And I was saying now that we think about I think about that about territory and thing is it's also what Simon Sinek says about being in a running or playing an infinite game. So you're not playing with a
Short term.
Exactly short term, but also like with an end game, which is being better, being the best, being better than three other people. You're just playing infinity because that's you like the game. You just want to create stuff that matter to your cause, that to you what you believe in. Maybe because they're fun for you. It's a very very interesting topic.
The thing is, it's an art form. You can't make an art form a race.
Yeah,
It's what I think, and we've made it a race.
yeah,
You can't help it because we have to live with a race.
yeah,
So you have to balance it.
yeah. And it's a race also. I think, yeah. So the system we are trained to think about in a hierarchical way. Also with social media, then you start counting likes, and then there's also like a lot of ego that plays a role into that. You just want to be better than, you want to have more likes, you want to have more validation. Because the places you're in a better place, you feel better if you're better than other people.
It's a shit one.
Yeah. And talking about your art, your DJing, you are very eclectic. You play a lot of stuff which is a broken beat. You play a lot of broken techno. You play also some electro stuff. Is there a type of vibe that is Chabb's audio vibe in every set?
Okay, I mean, my vibe is abstract, you could
Yeah.
say. I usually, the thing is, I have to play for a dance floor now. Because I've been a DJ for so long, I never got to play what I wanted to. So now I just intuitively play what the dance floor needs. And sometimes I feel like if it's been too long for like straight line music, straight 4x4, because I have it, I like to break it. It's also me trying to experiment with a dance floor. But usually my sound would be, it's a little tougher. You could say it's a little weird. I don't like it if it's too easy to listen.
Yeah. So you want people to experience something different.
Yeah. Ideally myself. If I can't enjoy it, I don't think you can.
Yeah. So it should be something that you enjoy, because it's something that speaks to you, but also something that in a way shakes people up, gives them a different thing.
Yeah, because that's what makes me happy when I hear a DJ.
Yeah.
It makes my imagination go into something. It creates a new cellular structure in my body. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It's
yeah.
a feeling. It's
Yeah.
more a feeling than anything.
Yeah, a feeling. Yeah. Was there a party in India, an organization, something that actually helped you develop your sound, your voice?
Oh yeah, surely. So there's the crew I spoke about earlier called Bhavishwani Future Sounds, which started in the 90s when the psytrance was happening. They were more into stuff that was like Aphex Twin, Square Pusher, a lot of the Warp, the Jeff Mills, like just the more classical rave stuff. Luke Vibert, la la la. So I guess when I went to their parties, and before that I heard some disco, some break, some drum and bass. I couldn't put genre to it. I was like 16, pre psytrance. I'd heard some psytrance, so I knew electronic music. Of course, Prodigy and Chemical Brothers and Joy Division, and that wasn't even electronic to us. It was just like music you heard. That was different. You heard about synthesizers. I didn't really understand a synthesizer truly then. Then of course, I guess I heard some like Detroit stuff, like techno, and then it was more like online radio that was like digital imported. You ever heard of this? It's like a really old school, one of the old online radios. And I get started downloading on SoulSeek, and I got all that old Plastic Man and Fuse. old minus like that whole like old American sound, and it just kept going. And today, then I met these guys, and eventually I was in Goa. Actually, I ran away from home, and I went to a few parties of them. I didn't know them, you know. I knew who they were, who was what. They were much older than me, and I came to Goa, and there was a wedding, and my friends come, and they were like, "Where have you been?" I was really young then. They're like, "Where have you been? You've run away." You know, I was just being young and crazy, and they were like, "You have to hang out with us," and you know, we're worried about you. I was like, "Ah, okay," but like they were like, "We're going to a wedding, and you have to come." I'm like, I'm not coming to someone's wedding, you know. They were on the beach, and they were like, "You have to come to our wedding. You're their brother, la la la." And I go to the wedding. Good fun people, everyone hanging out, very much like home because they were all from Bombay, and we have the same jokes, we use the same slang sometimes, so it was comfortable. Eventually, it was non-psytrance, which was beautiful for me because everything was always psytrance,
Different, yeah.
Goa, and so it was nice. So then they were like, "You have to come to the after party," and I was feeling awkward. I've just met everyone. I've come to a wedding, you know. This is wrong. I feel uninvited. And they were like, "No, they all were like, you have to come to the after party." So we go to this house in Kirian Beach, which is close by. It's built by a Dutch architect, really beautiful. And there's this German guy playing a regular DJ set. I guess then it was more like, you could say like the more Ricardo Villalobos style house. So it was like a normal party. And there was this huge live setup, and it was like a full mix, an SH-101, there was I think there was a 808, yes. There was the MFB, you know, the drum machine.
Drum machine.
Yeah, and some other cool stuff. This guy comes, and it's like almost morning, and he's just sitting there, he gets a stool, and he's like fully like in the same state as all of us, and he's playing it. He starts playing this melody, and it's Marinette by Matthew Johnson. And it was basically Matthew Johnson who played like 2.5 hour live set, and we're all like in this beautiful setting, and Marinette, and that whole album was really deep and psychedelic. So it was like, it kind of changed my whole opinion on how I saw DJing.
Yeah.
You know, how I wanted to play to a dance floor, because in Bombay or India there were no one who really played such a deep, heavier sound. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of went from there into like Robin Hood and Regal, and still going back to that whole Fuse. The whole Fuse stuff is still beautiful. Just like mixes of that, and then playing club floors. So I had to play some house here and there. Some old Matrek, if you remember, Maceo Plex.
Of course, yeah.
Old
One of my
Danny
favorite
Days,
artists,
you know. All that clubby stuff also had to happen. And then I kind of got sick of all of that.
Yeah. You transitioned now into, I would call it maybe techno, broken techno.
Yeah, I guess that also happened when I was more inspired by it, because I was like getting more music of it. I actually started, before I came to London, I started a experimental techno night, because
Here in India?
yeah.
Okay.
So I played at a big festival, which everyone was playing like all this like really big room music, and I was in the middle of all the big room people, and I also had this like, because I had to just DJ to make money.
Yeah.
So I used to play stuff inside stuff that people could, to try to hope to get them in. But of course it took years, and they kind of slowly wavered. But it kept, that was my style of getting it, like dropping a Jeff Mills within some house, and I'm just like trying to hope that this percussion works through everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes the dance floor flees, you know, it had its moments which were beautiful. But where am I going with this? Yeah. So eventually I had an experimental night that I started with a venue that was really close to me, and I basically only booked people who were like into techno that was very Osgood, or like Rig or Robert Hood, Detroit, Acid. Yeah.
And you transitioned into a more experimental side of techno.
I was just always hoped that I could play what I wanted to, but it
took a while.
few more years to getting to a place.
Yeah. Well, so you were born in India, right?
Yeah.
In Mumbai?
Yeah.
And then you moved, when did you move to London?
I moved to London 4 years ago.
4 years ago. That was 2015, roughly.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Roughly.
And you stayed there for 3.5 years?
No, I lived there for 6 months.
Wow.
Only, no, not
Very,
3
very
years,
short.
no.
Okay.
I used to, I had to go back to school because I studied business and I studied a little bit of philosophy. And then I just felt like I wanted to study music. Like I wanted to cut off from my life because I was too old. And I thought that if I stayed in India, it would be tough for me to study because I would keep making money.
Yeah.
So I forced myself to go to school so I could just focus on like doing what I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because I've been wanting to do it forever, but fighting what my family wanted me to do, fighting what would make sense to do,
Yeah.
and fighting what was actually around and a possibility to do.
No, makes sense.
Yeah.
So you said for years that you went there to study. You studied the music production. You stayed 6
yeah.
months. You met Tapefeed and
Yeah, I met Ricky and Ali there,
and then you had a good time there.
yeah.
Then you came back straight to Mumbai. Bombay, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a choice. I was thinking, should I stay back? Should I go to Berlin and like just focus on my career? But when I came to Bombay, there was no good music. Like there was good music. I'm not saying anything's bad music, but there's no music that I liked. Like I wouldn't see, like we really pushed this sound for people to even start producing it or playing it. Like
Yeah.
I used to get so much shit from other promoters because other DJs used to be like, this guy's play some shit stuff, and today they all play the same stuff, you know? So it's funny.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
But I know that I'm glad I came back because today we have a scene and now I won't feel bad if I leave.
Yeah. But it takes time, like for people, things to develop, and it's very cyclical. Like in music, you see that there are trends, so music is going somewhere that's, let's call it mainstream, that's what the majority of people like. And then that might be a certain style for 2 years, and then it might revert to something else that was in fashion maybe 10 years ago, which happens all the time in Europe, US, and I think it's happening also in India. Like people need to get used to the sound and to like it, and eventually they are there with the same sound. That's the majority of people for 2-3 years, and then they drop it. They say, okay, whatever. There's something new that happens again.
I think we all follow trends.
We all follow the trends, yeah.
I mean, I used to think that I was like really true and honest, but I know that of course some trend will make an influence on me.
For sure.
For sure. And I guess at this point, if people are doing it, we just have to let it be. But you have to see the intention of the whole scale.
Yeah.
You know, like I think it's more important to like judge people by if it's a promoter, how is his sound, how is his party, how are his basics of booking the lineup, is he honest with payments, you know?
Yeah.
And on an artist's point of view, everyone wants to achieve something different.
Yeah. No, of course.
So there's no, I mean, I can have an opinion, we can all have 100 of opinions, but it comes down to what you want to create from your life.
No, of course, yeah. And it might take years to be like, sometimes if you like something, it might not be what everybody likes in that moment. But if you keep doing that, at some point maybe you'll be lucky, and then that's exactly what people love in 2 years' time.
I mean, there's so many producers now who make like way better music than I could ever make, I think. And when I think they heard me play the music for the first time, so it's like, how can you say, right? I can't be like, oh, like I should be there. No, you can't.
No. Yeah, it's true.
It's everyone has their own way of being inspired and making stuff and priorities. And
of course, yeah.
different scenes, you know.
Yeah. Is there a learning or a fuck up? Let's put it this way. What is something that you wish you knew before you started promoting music in India? Let's say after you came back to London. What is one of the biggest mistakes, challenges you faced, and you wish you knew more about that before?
I wish I knew more about myself, to be honest. Because, you know, you don't realize when you work in something with passion, you have to differentiate why. If your opinion is strong about something, you have to see where it's coming from. And you can't impose it on people. Yes, there's ways of doing things. Like, I'm sure I've, along the way, told someone off rudely about something musical, you know? Something that has different context for both person.
Of course,
you know?
Yeah.
So I wish I knew more, because then this whole ideology of hierarchy and territory would be more in my being.
Got it, yeah, of course.
I'm sure I dealt with things along the way that I used the hierarchy over the territory.
100%, but it takes time to understand who we are, for sure. Yeah. how important it is to build relationships between people in the music industry.
Oh, the most.
Yeah.
I mean, what I've come to realize is don't hate anyone, even if you fight and you don't get along. Find a way to keep peace, because eventually, I mean, I look at what I'm doing like this. I'm really privileged to do, to be a DJ, to make music, to do parties. There's people who do much harder jobs out there.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and like, this world is really big, and like, it's an art form. So I somehow look at it a little scientifically and try to discover it in a different manner. But like, you can't. Everyone's doing different things. You can't compare anything in this world.
Yeah.
You know?
Being judgmental is always it's not, most likely it's not going to bring to anything positive for you or for others.
Just have to do your thing.
Yeah, exactly. The day I arrived, like, you said something interesting. You said, "Oh, I haven't been very active in social media in the last couple of days because you guys were here, you had a lot of artists to take care of. That's my social media. I was really like in-person social media. What's your feeling about social media in general? It's something that artists have to do, something that can help artists, or it's like something that is indifferent?
We all have this question, but you have Helena Hoff, who doesn't do any, right? You have some who don't. DVS1.
Use one, yeah. Clear
I
example.
mean, it depends, right? If you like it, some people can't do it when they're doing other things. Social media is a new thing. I mean, I remember I was in university when Facebook was 2 years old. I was in the third year of Facebook because it moved from being that one state or university into being different universities, and then went to different individuals and countries.
Yeah.
So I was in the first phase. So I remember like me before, kind of,
Were
and
you
after.
in US or India?
Yeah, I was in the US. I
In
was
US.
studying in the
Oh,
US
wow,
at that
okay.
point. Yeah, and so it's new. It's 10 years old.
Yeah.
12 years old. We're still discovering it.
Yeah.
And I'm 33. Yeah, 15 years old.
2004 I founded, so it was already 2006. Yeah.
15 years old. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're still figuring it out.
Yeah, of course.
We have case studies. DVS1. Helena Hoff. Don't need it. Don't use it.
It's true.
They're fine.
Yeah.
There's people who use it.
Yeah.
Huge, works. People who use it don't well.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we give it too much importance at this point.
In what way do you think it's a promoter thing? So when, for instance, promoters are booking artists, is that too much importance, or is more like artists that are like, oh fuck, I need to post something on social media?
It depends on situations. There's some promoters who can lose money and have the ability to take those decisions. There's some who can't, you know? Every promoter has a different situation. Some have to think that if I don't make back the tickets, I can't do my next party, I will owe people money.
Yeah.
So they might have to think about social media. I don't think it's a wrong thing, because it's the biggest and the most important way of communicating today.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
promoting or branding. So.
Yeah. And it's where the attention of most people is. Like, people spend hours and hours on social media. That's simple. Like, you need to get people where their attention and mind is, otherwise you're cut out. Yeah.
There's nothing, like, I've stopped thinking about it. Like, yes, personally, sometimes I'm like, I don't want my phone, but then I need my phone, because you'd message me or someone else would message me with a question that I might need to answer.
Yeah.
Or I want to answer.
It's a useful tool.
Yes.
Right? It's not necessary. You can live your life, you can find your way without it, but it's useful. It is, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surely.
And going toward the wrap up, what is your typical day like? What do you do beyond music?
Okay, I mean, I like a lot of it is looking for inspiration and purpose. Of course, I like looking after my body, and like I like being around people I love, because I think life is really short, you know. So you like to say hello and just being nice, but at the same time, I like to look for purpose, because with what I do, if I don't have purpose, I become mechanical. And
Yeah.
I was born in a very mechanical world and space, and I can't really get away from that unless I really force the forces of nature against myself. You know.
Yeah.
So I have to create that balance constantly.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think another thing that is becoming a big topic now is keeping a balance between the nightlife, whether you're a promoter, DJ, club owner, or even a fun and the rest of your life. Sometimes these two things, there is a big trade-off because nightlife, first of all, living at night is more stressful than living the day. And there's also like a lot of vices inside that. You tend to drink, you tend to sleep less. There's a lot of like stuff that are stressful on your body. Do you have ways to keep a balance, to keep health in check, to do stuff that kind of balance that out?
I mean, I have created along the way. Luckily, I broke the stigma of, I mean, it was the biggest battle for me, is being the kind of artist I am and being true to how my creative juices work and comparing it to regular human lifestyle. But I think this is becoming an industry finally, and where we have more DJs, we have more artists having unusual patterns of life and eating at different times. So it'll become much easier to cope with eventually. But at this point where we are as a species, I feel we still look at nightlife as a bad thing.
Yeah.
And selling ammunition as a okay thing. So there's a crazy connotation to everything, you know?
It's very true. Yeah, I don't think it's crazy. I think yes, exactly. It's definitely not a bad thing. It's just part of our...
I mean, I was born like that. I can't sleep at night.
Yeah.
I work amazingly. I read. I go out. I can go to a night. I can come with you to the best party and not drink. Have coffee, enjoy the music, dance with you and go home.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, coffee.
Maybe not even coffee. You know, but I'm just saying. 'Cause I love the music.
Or
you know?
nothing. Or water.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true. Like, it's true. I think when you get to... I think there are ways of living nightlife that can be more detrimental on your body, definitely. It's not just the fact of being there. You can go to music and just take it super chill, not do anything that is like eating a salad or whatever. Like, you just have water all night. It's perfect. It works. There are ways that you might have a bigger impact on your body, and then you probably need to figure out whether that's the right choice for you over long term.
I mean, you eventually have to decide who you are, and if you think that you have to be something to be somewhere,
Yeah.
it's gonna be tough always.
It's gonna be tough, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you have to make peace with what you are, and like, if you need to do something to be a part of a crowd, don't do it.
It's very true. Yeah. Fear of missing out is one of the worst drivers you can ever have. Eventually. Wrapping up, last two questions. If you were not a producer and promoter, what would you be outside of music?
I'll join politics.
Yeah.
Just to mess around, you know, make it fun.
To fix things.
Of course,
Make
but
it
I don't know, who am I to fix anything? But I would say I'd make it fun. I'd make the discussion fun. I find politics really funny, you know? It's like, everyone wants to be a politician, but no one wants to do the work, so...
Yeah. It could be entertainment.
Yeah, it would be, surely.
Exactly, why not?
Yeah.
Nice, and where people can find your work?
My work, sometimes on SoundCloud. I made a track with, you know, have you heard of Charanjit Singh?
No.
Charanjit Singh is the oldest composer and known. I mean, there's a rumor that he was the first guy to make electronic music before. I mean, acid music before future DJ Pierre. And there's this huge discussion between the Dutch and the Detroit people, because the Americans, because they're like, no, we did it in 90s. But this guy was basically just this old pianist, Bollywood producer who randomly sat down and made a track with the 303 and with the soul wave and like 4x4, the same structure. And if you hear it, it's so great. It's called Seven Ragas to a Disco Beat. It was made in like the 84 or 83.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's this huge debate. A lot of DJs are playing it around the world now because they know of it. And there was the whole Dutch acid side, old school Dutch acid crew kind of tried to cultivate it. There's a guy called TJ Johans who has a label called Bollywood. Bollywood Records. So he has all this acid, electro-y, extremely like galactic sounding, cosmic disco label, extremely Dutch. But yeah, so we were just jamming and we did some stuff with the beat repeat and it sounded really trippy and he pressed it.
Nice. So
that's, you can find that on Bollywood. It's under BMC. It's called Bombay Spring Rolls.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just a weird dance floor track. And there's the Far Out Left compilation that just came out, which I was forced to put a track on, but I actually think I'm a horrible producer, so when I'm good, you'll find something.
Yeah, for sure. We'll put the links there, but in the show notes. But I think the other thing is that if you judge your own stuff, you will never be satisfied. Mostly, you will never be satisfied. You're never gonna be a good judge.
I just enjoy this process for now.
Yeah,
It's gonna go.
it's gonna go. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I'm just enjoying this dwelling. I like feeling good about my stuff.
Yeah, it will come with time. I think. Yeah, it comes with time. Any new projects that you're working on that you want to share with the audience?
I have a collective called Meta Experimental, which is it's a really open-ended non-profit project. I did one tour with the DJ that not many people know of, but I find interesting because of the way he approaches the craft. I did it in really weird spaces. One was in a clothing factory, which is maybe the size of this room. One was in a club because that was the only one club night. And one was on a random Thursday night for a small crowd. And I have DJs from around, and if people want to join and play, they can send me messages, and we just create
Definitely, yeah.
small non-profit situations that are
That's perfect.
more, it's more an experiment. So
That's
see
great.
what happens with it.
Yeah, in Mumbai. That's all in Mumbai.
Yeah, I mean, I Mumbai and Goa. We
Mumbai
did a
and Goa,
few in
okay.
Goa.
It's very cool.
We did one at Sirius as well, so it's quite cool.
Amazing. So we'll make sure to put the links in the show notes. So if people want to.
And then
reach
there's
out.
Regenerate, who is the main, where we create everything. Bishma is the founder. Kyle runs a lot of the administration and artist management and bookings. And I do a lot of the creative direction and A&R.
Perfect.
And sometimes looking for using my contacts, but I'm mainly the resident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Amazing. Thank you for being
Thank
on the
you.
show. It's been fun.
Good chat.
We haven't sweated too
I
much.
got to know myself a little more.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Amazing.